In this lesson, we are going to learn two new control flow statements, break and continue. But to start with, let's write the program that will read the line from the console and count amount of letter in this line. So first I need to create string line where I'm going to store my string. And let's suppose that our string will contain letters and spaces only. So since I want to read string with spaces, I'm going to use function getLine, and parameters of my function is a stream scene and the container where we are going to store result. And now when we have our string, I want to count amount of letters in my string. I'm going to use for loop for this. Inside of the for loop, let's create our iteration variable I, and we are going to run our loop till I is less than line size, and we are going to increment our control variable I. And inside of my loop, since I know that my line contains only letters and spaces, and I want to calculate letters, let's also create variables that will store result, letters. And if the char I'm looking at, line I, is not equal to space, I'm going to increment amount of letters, increase amount of letters by 1. And after my loop is finished, I'm going to present result by writing to the console amount of letters is, and our variable letters and line. Okay, now let's check that everything is working. Let's build and run our program and type some line, for example, how are you? And you can see result amount of letters in this line is 9. So 3 how, 3 letters in A and 3 letters in U. Okay, but now let's change our task a little bit. Let's say I want to calculate amount of letters not in the entire line, but only in the first word. So in this case, I want to calculate amount of letters until I meet the first space. So I'm going to change my loop code a little bit, writing if line I is equal to space, I'm going to break my loop. Else I will increment my variable letters. Okay, so what's going on in this code now? I'm starting to count letters in the first word, and since this condition is false, we're incrementing our variable letters. And when we meet the first space, I'm entering this condition and see the word break. And this word break is working for the loop in the same way the word return working for functions. So when we meet break, we break our loop. No matter how many iterations left, no matter what code I have in this iteration, if I see break, I exit the loop. So let's also change our message a little bit. Amount of letters in first word is, and let's test our program. So once again, let's write our line how are you, and you can see now amount of letters in first word is 3. So what happened here? We started our loop and we started in each iteration counting the amount of letters. So we counted amount of letters in the word how, and then when we reached space, we entered this condition, we saw word break, and our loop is now finished. No matter that condition is still true, and we still have several iterations. So use this word break if you want to exit your loop earlier, depending on some condition. You can use it for the loop for, while and do while, and also for the statement switch we are going to discuss in the next lesson. Okay, now let's discuss the word continue. But to show you the power of word continue, I want to change our task a little bit. Let's say now our task is still to read line from the console, but then write this line to the console in the uppercase, in the capital letters. So I'm still going to read my line using getLine, and I'm still going to use the for loop. But now the code in the for loop will be different. We are going to create char, let's name it capital, and it will be equal to upper. To upper is the function that take char, check if it's letter. If it's small letter, it will return you uppercase letter. If it's a big letter or some symbol, it will return you this big letter or the symbol without changes. So let's pass our line char, and after this I'm going to type this capital letter to the console. Okay, now let's build and run our program and check how it's working. And once again, let's type our string how are you, and you can see result is the same string but in capital letters. But now let's once again change our task a little bit. Let's say I want to do the same. I want to type my string in the console in capital letters, but I also want to remove all spaces from my string. So let's create a condition here. If our char, our symbol is equal to space, we are going to continue. So what this keyword continue means? It means that we are not going to execute the rest of the code in the iteration, and if our condition is true, we are going immediately start next iteration. So let's build and run our program to see the result. And once again, let's type our word how are you, our line how are you. And you can see that now result is our line how are you in capital letters but without spaces. So what's going on in our loop now? In each iteration, we check if our symbol char we are looking at is space. If it's not space, we execute the rest of the code. We convert our char letter to uppercase and we type our new uppercase letter to the console. But if this condition is true, if we see space, we enter condition and we see the word continue that tell us immediately switch to the next iteration and don't execute all other code in this particular iteration. Okay, now when we learn what's break and continue control flow statements stand for, let's have some fun with infinite loops, because these words break and continue is a great way to control infinite loops. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to write the text adventure game. And when we start, we are going to welcome our user, our player, with the message, welcome to the text adventure game. Let's also create integer variable score, where we are going to save the score of our user. And all the rest steps of the game will take place inside of the infinite loop. So inside of each infinite loop, I'm going to ask him to make a decision. So let's create integer variable user input. That's how our user will control the game. And I'm going to ask my user choose one option. So the first option will be explore the cave. If he or she press 2, the user will cross the bridge. 3 will stand for enter the forest. And with 0, our user can quit the game. Okay, now after we read our user input, and based on the user input, he or she will have different output. I'm going to use if-else statement. The most experienced user can say that it's better to use switch statement here, but we don't know about switch statement yet. We're going to discuss it in the next lesson. Okay, so based on our user input, if input is 1, I'm going to give my user message, you enter the dark cave, unknown creature attacks you. And we're going to decrease the score of our user. If user input is 2, I'm going to type message, you cross the bridge, it feels unstable but holds up, and the score will stay the same. If user select 3, enter the forest, the output will be you step into the forest and you are surrounded by magical creatures, and I'm going to increase the score of my user. But if our user press 0, quit the game, you can see we are going to type message thanks for playing, game over, and we are going to break our infinite loop. Okay, and once my user decided to quit the game, I am going to give him or her his or her final score. So I'm going to type a message, your score is, score, and line. Okay, we finished writing our text adventure game. Now let's test it. Let's build and run our program. And you can see our greeting message, welcome to the text adventure game. After this, we entered our infinite loop, and we should choose this option, explore the cave, cross the bridge, enter forest, or quit the game. Let's explore the cave. And you can see the message, you enter the dark cave, unknown creature attacks you. And after this, we repeat our infinite loop. Once again, we have to choose option. Let's choose enter the forest, and you can see our message, you step into the forest, creatures surround you. And once again, our infinite loop asking us to choose an option. Let's now quit the game. I'm going to press 0. And you can see that with the 0, since we have this word break, we broke our infinite loop, and now we have a message: thanks for playing, game over. Your score is 1. Okay guys, this is it for today. In the next lesson we are going to change this program and learn switch statement. For now, I hope this lesson was really interesting and valuable for you, and see you soon in the next lesson.